Well, and the Arizona Coyotes are looking for a new home, I think. Are they not, Deitch?
Yeah, I have to be honest. I love when voters in municipalities turn down publicly funded sports stadiums. It actually, it's a cause for celebration. I would feel the exact same way if that was in my city. When we were on Sportsnet, Bob, I was very, very clear that I didn't support any kind of like Calgary or Vancouver Olympics bid. I don't think the public should pay for this stuff, even as someone who covered 7 Olympics and loves the Olympics. It's the same way when it comes to like the Coyotes. It'd be the same. It's the same way I felt when the Bills are now getting public funding from New York State.
No, not public funding. A lot of public funding.
A lot of public funding. So the Coyote situation is interesting. John will have far better insight than me. It's very clear that Gary Bettman is heavily invested in wanting hockey in Phoenix and wanting hockey in the Southwest, and I understand that. It's a big market. You want to have your flag in that part of the country because the other sports that you compete with, the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, are there. But I mean, it seems very, very clear that that's not a good market for hockey, and I'm probably being underselling it there. And I just don't know how long the commissioner and the league can sort of continue to try to win this fight. It just doesn't seem like hockey in Arizona is going to be successful long term. And if that's the case, then to me they should just figure out, okay, what is the next city where we can take a franchise and have massive success.
Well, the question now becomes, is Bettman ready to say that? Because he hasn't been up till now for reasons that have been inexplicable to me. I don't know why he has, punched the Arizona clock over and over and over again and been so supportive of the franchise there when it has been a failure for years, both on the ice and in terms of, what they've done, in the vicinity. I mean, it didn't work in Glendale. It didn't work on the ice in Glendale. It didn't work economically in Glendale. The arena was apparently too far and in the wrong location. And the Tempe deal astounds me too. Like, how do you go through the Tempe process and fail? Shouldn't you know whether there's going to be a successful run at this thing in advance before you take it? I mean, do you open the door only to have it slammed in your face? Because that's what's happened. I mean, I don't get that. I don't, what is Gary's belief, that the singular belief that hockey will work in Arizona? Because it won't. And even the people in Arizona are telling them that repeatedly. Aren't they, John?
I think that they're getting to that point now.
But you should have got to this point 10 years ago.
Well, you and I have had this argument, Bob, because you mentioned, well, the product on the ice was bad and the fans wouldn't show up. That actually shows me that the fans in Arizona are smarter than you realize. Because if you got a bad product, you don't want to show up.
So what?
Well,
you've got an NHL team that has had ownership questions, that has not found a home and support throughout, regardless whether Wayne Gretzky was the coach or somebody else.
Yeah,
it hasn't mattered.
And I think
never looked like a good place.
Well, I think it did look like a good place at one point, but
when was that?
I think when they were downtown, and then they got.
How long ago was that, John?
No, Bob, listen. I don't. I'm just giving you the facts. Don't say that I'm. This is not my opinion.
How long ago was that? Was
20 minutes? 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. And the issue in the end became on ice product was bad. Ownership thought that they could make a quick buck, and the two didn't go hand in hand. The frustration, I think, for the Tempe thing, Richard, is there were real claims by the Morello group that it wasn't going to cost them public money. I did not look closely enough at the referendum to suggest what happened. And what's happened now is I do think that, and we had Gary on 10 days ago, Bob?
Yeah.
And he gave all of the reasons that Richard talked about, top 10 market, There's lots of people. He gave all those reasons. But I think that they were shocked by the outcome, not only the outcome of the referendum, but how bad the referendum went. It was not like 51-49.
Correct.
This was 57-43. And so that's a huge blow. What I think is happening now and going to happen over the next 6 months is they are trying to find an exit strategy. I think that we will start hearing about an exit strategy, about moving this team somehow, some way, or getting this team sold to the one person who has the appetite for the market, and that's Matt Ishbia, who has ownership now of the Suns and has an arena. So, which, by the way, is the same arena that the team started in 1996. So I think those are the two options that we're going to start hearing about in the next 6-8 months. And, this could potentially be the last year. We know it of last year in the 5,000 seat arena, and could be the last year of hockey in that area if everything goes to fruition, because there is too much pressure now from lots of constituents. The other owners saying that, Arizona's not pulling its weight with hockey related revenue. We're tired of subsidizing it. And I think Gary's feeling that pressure.
Yeah. The one thing I would say, like, I understand where Bettman and the league are coming from, and John sort of hit on it. Like, it's a major American market with a big population. It's a growing American market. The demographics are such that Arizona is growing, where like a state like New York is declining. You have great diversity in terms of the potential fan base, whether it's Hispanics, white fans, black fans, etc. It's a diverse state. So you can really expand your market. It's, again, in the Southwest, which has always been like, the place that they've always wanted to be, because it's really the one place in the United States that they don't have any kind of great foothold. And again, there are other franchises there in the sports that they compete against that obviously, if you want to be a serious, significant league, you see the Suns are there, and you see the Arizona Cardinals are there, and you see the Diamondbacks are there. Like, NHL probably thinks we got to be able to have a market. But everything you said, Bob's correct. Like, history has already proven it doesn't work. And now I think John brings up like the ultimate point. The real question is, like, will this billionaire who just bought the Suns essentially fund a money loser for a while just to maintain the NHL's there? I don't know why that would be a good business proposition for Matt Ishbia, but if, we've seen billionaires carry lost leaders all the time that are these, how do I sort of say it? Like, like a guy like Jeff Bezos might own the Washington Post. If it's not making money, it's still like a prestige product to own. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if you're Matt Ishbia, you might look at it like, okay, the Suns are going to be my moneymaker here, and I'm just going to own an NHL team because it's another toy in my toy box. There's no economic reason left why that franchise should be in Arizona. None.
Right. Well, there hasn't been for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's been, in essence, it's been Gary Bettman that has been trying to prop up that franchise for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other reason for them to be there.
John, where do you think the best alternative would be in the event of, if the NHL could craft like where they would want that franchise to move if it's not in Arizona?
Well, I think it's Salt Lake City.
I agree.
Salt Lake City is a growing market. Salt Lake City is bigger than 5 of the markets that are in the NHL right now. Salt Lake City does have a facility that they could play in right now.
Yep.
Salt Lake City has an owner that is an NBA owner that wants an NHL team. The dominoes are all falling in the right place for Salt Lake City.
It has a winter sports culture. It has the climate. I'm with you on all that.
Yeah, and so to me, and it's in this, in theory, it's in this same region of the country. It would be easy to do. The other places that people have talked about, Kansas City, there is no appetite for anyone in Kansas City to own a hockey team. There's no appetite for that arena, which makes money without professional hockey, to take on the chance of losing money with 45 dates. Houston and Atlanta are going to be put over on the side because Houston and Atlanta are too big and in theory potentially too prosperous. So they're not going to be a relocation. If they are anything, they're going to be expansion, if there is such a thing. So I think that, and we can always talk about Quebec City. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So to me, everything points, and I said this to Bob yesterday, everything points to Salt Lake City being the best and probably the most opportune city to host an NHL team quickly.
That makes sense to me.
Well, if I'm not disagreeing with you, John. You're probably right. The one that I look at that scares the hell out of me is Atlanta, because of late there's been a lot of talk in Atlanta about trying to get another NHL team. Yep. Well, it's failed there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't think we're going to Atlanta. I mean, Gary kind of hinted at that when he was on with us, that Atlanta is not on the radar right now. So